day of the month, February 28th, a very special and organized date out there. And we're here at the Daily Spell, and we're so excited that we're here again for another evening. Thank you, everybody, for all the comments from last night. That was quite a gripper of a show. And I want to thank everybody who was participating with me and talked about it. We'll be talking more about elder care and other things as we did. As you know, the Daily Spell is your nightly attitude toward the pagan culture as we learn about things to do so. Really quick news today. And we'll be talking about some interesting things with Lady Lori Blackman, which will be on in a few minutes. And we're going to be talking about all that. But one of the big things today is the swag bag came out for our Kickstarter campaign at witchstarter.com for the Pagan World TV. We have added so many things. Our vendors are starting to add things to our swag bags. We're very excited about it. And we have 22 days left to go. Let us try to see if we can change the dynamic on it and make it a better site. Pagan World Expo tickets. Yep, that event is going to occur in Chicago, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And so there we go. We're going to talk today with Lady Lori Blackman, and she is the Correllian Press Secretary, Assistant Dean of Students, and been our liaison to the Parliament. But we're going to ignore the Assistant Dean of Students at Witch School to talk particularly with her about, her job as Correllian Press Secretary, her liaison work with the Parliament of World Religions, and her dynamics. So she's got quite a story, I think, that people should know about. I think this can be a very exciting show. I think you should all be sharing it. Remember, if you're seeing it on Pagan World TV, Magic TV, or anywhere else, share it to your own page and get people to come to your page and watch. So share it out. Push that little button, share wherever you're at. If you're on Roku, thank you for being on us. One of the fastest growing pagan stations in the world today and the world of smart TV. Hi, Lori. I can't hear you. we've had this a bit of time, right, Mary? And I think so. There we go. Um, so absolutely. So check it out. Witchstarter.com. We're going to be there. Talk to us in the chat, and we will be back with her. We've had this happen. Okay, so witchstarter.com is a place to make a difference. If you're on any of our social media, you can feel free to ask questions. Wednesday, I'm not sure quite. We're going to talk tomorrow about Salem witch trials. If you're an expert on Salem witch trials, please contact me. I would like to get more history. I'd like to get you on here to talk about the Salem witch trials, which are anniversarying tomorrow. Thursday is Tarot Thursday. I think it will be very exciting. And I think Friday, we're going to talk about Tennessee and the drag laws. So, yeah, that's right. That's getting heated up. They're going to try to pass the rules really soon to change the way the drag laws work. Sure. I mean, you can. Plus, it's also on YouTube, and it's been recorded elsewhere. So, okay. I mean, yeah, better viewing. We want to. So, yeah, you not only can you record this for presentation for later viewing. Terrific. It's also being recorded across there. One of the nice things about being a fantastic social transmitter is that we are able to record instantly, simultaneously. We had to record and we had to edit. We had to put it up on the websites. We had to put it on YouTube. We have one of the oldest YouTube accounts. Only a handful of accounts are older than us and everything else. So we had that. Good evening. Good evening, sir. Sir, I don't know how to actually pronounce your thing. All right. There we go.
We're going to Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Loud.
Yay! Sorry about that.
Don't be. It's just a match. We're in the early West days of social transmissions. It's going to happen. I mean, it happens in the best of them.
Every different stream that you go on changes the settings for your headset. I forgot to check. Note to self: check before you go on there.
And I saw that your glorious hubby Chad was
helping you. He came to my rescue.
Chad's so cool that way. He is so cool. He is. Everybody loves him for that. I mean, of all the things he does, I know when he comes in, he's like that knight in shiny transistors.
Yeah, I love that.
Jeffrey O'Neill saying, "Remember the commercial? Can you hear me now?"
Exactly. We do that often. Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Uh, all right, so let's go ahead and get started with the show. As you know, this is the Daily Spell, and we've been talking, and I'm glad the numbers are coming back up.
Yay.
When you disappeared from the stage, the numbers dropped. I'm so sorry for that, and now they're coming back up. So
Good.
basically, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? Give us like a 2-minute superhero story of you.
Superhero story. Okay. I am in my croning part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've been practicing witchcraft since I'm about 14. I joined the witch school actually in early 2008, was in a bad car accident, so I didn't really get back into it until about 2014, where I immediately jumped into the tradition. I went to my first parliament in 2015, met this gentleman here, and that parliament changed everything for me. And a lot of people say that, but it is actually the truth. I had no intentions of ever wanting or thinking that I wanted anything to do with media or interviewing people or being on TV or being on the
Mm-hmm.
radio. And lo and behold, here we are. Here I am. I
So,
actually love it.
mm-hmm.
And it was all because of 2015 Parliament, and I wouldn't have found that if I didn't find my place within the Correllian tradition.
And because recently we've had Sir Ebony, and a lot of people have recently attained their next levels, and people
Yes.
have been asking it. And one of the things they were asking about, are we a rank based system for leadership? And and you just recently got your third degree, congratulations! You're
Thank
now
you.
lady. It was quite exciting. Um, but before that, people have always asked inside the Correllian tradition, well, how did you get to be press secretary when you weren't a third degree? Where you weren't even a second degree, you weren't even a first degree. You barely were a first degree when a lot of this
I
started.
went for it. I did the
And
work. I just jumped
mhm,
out there. Ed said, "You can do this, you can do this." And I was like, "Great, I'm doing it." And I did
yeah,
it. Um, it's been a struggle not being a third degree with certain things
hmm
in that position. But for the most part, everybody was
yeah.
very open and welcoming, and I had no issues really that I can think of or talk about like that. Um, I don't think that you have to have a certain status to do things within your community and to help.
hmm
Your status is within the tradition itself as the heart, your levels of learning, to me, the program or the religion or
hmm
the tradition itself. But what you do and what you take out of it and what you give back shouldn't have anything to do
So,
with what you are and who you are.
so you're one of the very first in traditions, wagon picking traditions that I know of, as being an actual press secretary. I think every tradition should have a press secretary that
I
is a
couldn't
rank
agree
above.
more.
I mean, I think they do because of. But can you explain a little bit what do we mean by press secretary?
Sure.
We hear. Mhm,
So, most people think of press secretary, they think of the White House and
mhm,
giving news and everything. And putting out the traditions information is part of it. Of course, that's what a press secretary does, making announcements,
mhm,
um, keeping people informed,
mhm,
making sure that the chancellor's messages are being put out properly and things like that. And
mhm.
that's what I do.
And so, and it isn't really about communication necessarily inside the tradition, though there's some of that. But it
Right.
is how we express to the outside world.
Outside. Yes.
And you've done a number of things. One of the things you're going to be doing um, that's coming out soon. We
Can't
have
wait.
is the Pagan Pride Roadshow,
Yes.
which will be a combination of new as well as old interviews. We have lots of Pagan Pride. We're very.
So many. I think I started in 2015. Someone
Mhm,
that is no longer with us took me around in St. Louis and I fell in love with it. And that's why when you had asked me months later at Parliament in 2015, I was like, oh, you know what? I had fun at St. Louis. I think I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I love people, and
Yeah.
I'm a butterfly. I'm out there. I have no problem communicating with people and putting myself in front of them. Hi, how are you? Um, just to get the story and to get their news out, not for
Mm-hmm.
any other reason but that. Um, but yeah, I can't wait. The Pagan Root Show. That's going to be very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great stories from all the different events over the years, and that's what's important about media is
Mm-hmm.
bringing that information to the people that can't go, don't know about them. So many people don't even know that there are events in their area. So when they do watch, they get to feel included. They get to feel like they're part of something.
I can agree with that. And I think one of the other things I think that it does happen is that there's a statement that journalism is the first draft of history.
Yeah.
The idea that it's the first draft of history. I mean,
Right.
eventually people will go back to what is recorded. And by having all these recordings and all this material, we can build back the stories. We are able to talk about the stories that are happening. Um, and that's kind of an interesting concept. So you're doing that work. And let's go ahead and move into the next thing. So after 2015, right? You went to the 2018. You were a volunteer in the 2015, right?
I was. It
Talk,
was.
that's a very unusual path you took. Can you talk about that?
So it was, and I didn't expect it to consume as much time as it did or be as hard as it actually was. But I did. I jumped right in. I fell in love with Parliament, and I wanted to not only be there to do interviews with people, but I want to help.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that, and then I don't think that I did it just to get a free registration because I actually paid for my registration and I still donated my time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was fantastic. I got to meet a lot of people and go to a lot of workshops that I would not have normally signed up to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I met people that I probably would not have met had I not volunteered. So it was very moving in that respect.
Then you volunteered again in 2018,
I did.
and that was it. And
2019 online, the
no,
online
no,
one.
Utah, Toronto. Did you not?
Yes, Toronto, and then the
Well, I was
next
going to
one.
get to that. Don't steal my questions. We know better than
Okay.
this. I told you better than this. No, in 2000, Utah, you continued on with that. And you're also acting as this is where you really stepped into being a press secretary in 2018.
Yes.
You were representing our tradition. Most people don't know it. I was actually the first pagan in 2009, so we were building up on the system.
Right.
But by 2018, we were a lot stronger. And that's really when you went on to be more of the press secretary, covering stories. We covered a lot of stories at that point.
Yes.
Um, but then in 2021, this is the one that I think is interesting. You volunteered yet again,
Yes, I did.
and
Yes.
talk about that because you're like
So
everywhere on that online place.
that was really interesting. It was completely online. It was huge for online.
Mm-hmm.
And what we did actually, and there was a lot of little kinks and stuff because don't forget this is their first time doing something like this.
On a
That
very,
for the
on a,
Parliament,
yeah, on a very expensive platform. Uh,
extremely expensive platform.
mhm.
So, there was a lot of little kinks to work out. So our job was just go room to room to room to room and make sure there were no issues. And if there was, tag somebody so they knew to jump in or help if we knew what to do or send somebody where they needed to go. Um, wow. It was more exhausting than 2018. And I was just sitting for most of the day.
Yeah.
Because again, it was room to room to room, and there were so many rooms and outbreaks going on at the same time.
So let's jump to
It,
this. You're not going to be a volunteer this year. You've
no,
got too
I
many
am
other
not.
duties.
Yes.
But
I
you're
will volunteer sometime um, the night before. I will
Mhm.
volunteer to help them organize, set up or stuff bags, whatever they need, anything they need. If they need something in the evening, wiping down tables, setting up the next day, that I will volunteer for.
Mhm.
Full volunteer, no, because I want
You have a lot of
to.
juice.
I have a lot to do. I have a lot of people to meet. I have a lot of people to introduce other people to. There's a lot to be done.
So you're pulling together, and let's go ahead and talk about it. If you want a discount to the parliament, we have like another
Yes.
month that
Yes.
you negotiated with the parliament. And what's that code for them? They go to
Okay,
parliamentworldsreligions.org.
so if you have not registered yet and you are thinking of going, and right now Parliament's rates are $425, but we do have a discount code, and it is for $250 for your registration. And the code is capitals, all capitals, CNC 2023, CNC 2023. And you fill out your application, you put the code in, and once you check out, you have to go throughout the whole checkout process. And
Right.
once you do check out, it will be a zero balance for you. Um, you have until April 31st, March 31st. Is there 31 days in March? Yeah.
Yes.
So until March 31st, and then it goes back to normal price. Everything will be normal price. So after
Mhm.
March 31st, it will go up to $500. So it is literally a 50% savings
If you can act
if
quickly.
you act within the next 30 days, 31
And
days.
and through this, you've given a lot of people a chance to go, and you've signed up a lot of people now. I mean, let's talk
Yeah.
about that.
So I am so excited because we are literally. I'm still working the list today because I don't have all the students and everything in. We are sitting at just about 70,
Mhm.
and I still have a few more to reach out to that have paid but haven't fully registered, so they're not on Parliament's list yet. So
Mhm.
we're in and around about 70 with the
Mhm.
students that I have, and I'm hoping to really get closer to that 100 mark in the next 30 days.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so out there, if you really want to be a participant and you'll
Yeah.
be part of a larger group, we've got a great number of people out
Mhm.
there. Uh,
Yeah, and
I
and
thought it was,
and if you are a student, an undergrad student, it's $99 and you don't need a code to register. That will be going up, I believe, to 125 and then to 150 day of. So again,
gotcha.
it's still a substantial savings.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So that's really kind of interesting to do so. And the Parliament is a great event.
it is
So
a
you're doing that
fantastic
registering.
event.
Okay, so we're going to leave the paladin. We're going to leave that sort of talk behind in the press secretary. So you've been watching media. You've done a lot of media, and and as people know, like this show, this is pagan generated. We are generating our own
Yes.
media, and today this is the biggest broadcast suite we've ever done. We're on Roku. We're on
Mhm.
television. We are across multiple channels. We're on Twitch, even as we speak. So we're doing a lot of things. We still have our Magic TV, one of the oldest YouTube accounts out there. We have
Yep.
when people want to talk about grandfathered accounts, we're that. With thousands of videos, you did a Correllian hour for a long time
Yes.
on radio. We might need to get back to that. So you've used a lot of media tools, and you've for somebody who started out a lot of media tools, right? And you've done other interviews outside of this too with the mainstream media. But people ask, why is that important? Because people ask all the time, why is it important? Why should we be doing this? Why should we spend so much time and effort, which has very little return to us on a personal basis?
Well, it does actually. It's history.
Hmm.
It's gathering the information from within our communities, and as I said earlier, especially events like Parliament that some can't afford to go to. Uh,
Hmm.
it's bringing the information back to the community.
Hmm.
It's it is making a difference because they wouldn't otherwise know. Like there's so many things that go on
Hmm.
within a community, and people still live in this community their whole life and don't even know that it's there. But
Hmm.
if we're interviewing people about it and we're putting things out there, and it makes a difference for the person that doesn't know, or that's a solitary, or in the broom closet. Say people in the broom closet are never going to go to these events in fear of being
Hmm.
seen, but they will watch it on their phone or on their desktop. when nobody's home or something like that. So it is important to, in rural counties where there is nothing for them,
Mm-hmm.
or other countries, we're global. So it's not just here, it's overseas, it's down south, it's up north. um Without that, they would not have the opportunities to know and feel and be a part of what's happening within the pagan community. Knowing what's going on within the pagan community, I feel, is a huge gift to give someone.
I do too. Um, so I find it very interesting because one of the things that shows the power of media, Divine Intentions, one of our sponsors, was in a contest for
Yes.
Western Kentucky. We did an interview, and they got boosted because of the community activity of being able to know things. Got boosted at the
Oh,
same.
nice.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, they won,
Yep. I did see that they won.
and that
Congratulations.
and they have a 10% discount out for all our people who
Yes.
helped them. Um, but that was a very positive thing. One of the things I think we've maintained is the ability to do emergency broadcasting. We've
Right.
done we've done all sorts of things. One of the biggest things we've done is funerals or memorials
Yeah.
for people who have passed. We haven't done so much lately, but we have done that in the past. I think that's an important aspect. I think we've done like real emergencies that have happened out in the community. When we covered just recently, out of is it Arkansas, Alabama, uh, the uh, the controversy over the big hairy creature Krampus
Oh,
out
the
of
Krampus,
India.
yeah.
We covered that,
Right.
and I think Friday we're going to cover up a major another issue and be able to follow it and let people be informed on what is it drag. In Tennessee, we actually have one of our very good people. Our general manager is also in charge of Nashville Pagan Pride. Mary Hawk is in the center because she actually does a drag show, what they call a family friendly drag show at Pagan Pride. We've actually, and if you look at it, you'll be able to see it online. We've actually filmed it, and it's
Yeah.
there. But next year, it's if this law passes, it's going to be actually illegal for them to do so. Oh, you didn't hear about this?
No.
Tennessee. No, this is why we're important. Tennessee is about to pass a law that makes drag illegal. All drag shows illegal. Period.
Huh.
Yeah.
No, I did not hear about that. And I try to stay up.
Well, it's
I
so hard.
honestly, right now, I've been concentrating on the witch wars in Africa. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's been consuming most of my time. But yeah, I do try and stay up with what the new laws are going on or what they're trying to do for that reason.
Again, talking about media, what's happening out in Africa? Why don't we go ahead and share that with these?
So in Africa, and not just one specific part, most people concentrate like on the little parts where the witch camps are. People, and most people only say it's women, but it's not. It's women, it's men, it's children are being dragged out of their homes and beaten and
Mm-hmm.
killed in the name of witchcraft. And I'm not saying that they even are witches, because 99% of them are not. Um, Older women whose husbands passed and they have a few acres of land are being called a witch so that other people can, other men, I'm going to and be honest about that, can take their land. These
Mm-hmm.
women are in hiding, they're running, they're going to witch camps. um it's heartbreaking, and this is something that I am very passionate about. And it's not only in Africa, it's happening everywhere. It happens here, it happens in the UK, it happens in Canada. And I was kind of bummed that I didn't get that spot in Parliament for that. But I understand. It's been brought up in a different way a few times, from what I
Mm-hmm.
understand. But I was trying to bring a different side of it. It's not just a woman's issue anymore. It's a people issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't understand how in 2023 this is still happening. Why is this word witch so damn terrifying to people?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the inclusivity for us as we go into the next parliament.
And which is the call to conscience, defending freedom and human rights.
Right.
So let me tell you, so it's not as scary. So this is that weird little place. So they make straw men out of these people
Yes.
because they say, oh, they have all these
Hmm.
powers,
Right.
but they're not afraid of them to attack them. You
Right.
mean if they were so powerful, I would think people would be afraid
Right.
to attack them. But the truth is that they're lying about what they're doing because they're not really afraid of them. They wouldn't
Right.
attack them in the way, you know what I'm saying? If they thought, oh my God, that person just cursed all my land, okay, I better
Right.
leave
I
them
get
alone.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're trying to use that as an excuse or an energy. But if they were really capable of doing it in the way that they're making them out to do, wouldn't you be terrified of them?
I see what you're saying, and now that I think about it in that aspect, I would be mortified to blame you for anything. No, thinking, oh my God, they're gonna, like you said, curse my land. My cows are gonna die. I'm never gonna grow another grain of wheat again. So it's they know they're not. That's the
They
issue.
right. So even when they're being accused of this,
Right.
they either don't believe in the magic. They say, "Oh Jesus Christ, it's a stage play," for
Yes.
against something. Because they can't honestly believe it if they can't believe what they're saying is so terrible if they're not afraid of the consequences.
Yeah.
And so there is no so to hate a witch is almost an action without consequence.
Right.
In that aspect of it, it's
It's the
changing.
laws in those countries.
Right.
It's the law, so they know, okay, it's against the law to practice. So even if we just accuse them, they just get accused and that's it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no trial. There's no nothing in most of these places that are rural Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's
So
crazy.
tomorrow,
It's
and you think it didn't? March 1st is going to be the celebration of our greatest tourist site. Uh, how absurd is this? So tomorrow, March 1st, is the anniversary once again of the Salem witch trials, and over the next couple of weeks, that'll become a historical account. They'll go over it
right.
again. And yet, it was so terrible that for a long time, Salem was not allowed to talk about it. They suppressed it. And you can't suppress something like this. Now they've turned it into a tourist site. The fact that they murdered people isn't just something to deal with it. They've allowed witches into their city, and
And
they make good money there. So make great money there. Turn it
they
into a
do.
tourist, and they make it into a tourist site
Yeah.
over the
I
murder.
yeah, you're
It's
right.
kind of
I love Salem. I've been
oh
to
sure
Salem only once for Samhain.
okay
I couldn't handle it because it was just so commercial. It's not for me for Salem. My favorite
hmm
time to go to Salem is like April, the change of the weather, because I like to be out, do the outside things. I actually sat once through the trial thing,
hmm
and I thought to myself, these people are friggin' insane.
hmm
What is happening right now? But the people love it. They go, they pay, and I didn't even stay for the whole thing. I was mortified, uh,
hmm
especially again these poor people that were killed weren't even friggin' witches.
yeah. But
Why?
and now we keep that story alive over and over and
Right.
over again. It was a very important story. And we've seen that over and over again, other than everywhere else.
Yeah.
Everyone
Yeah.
thinks at that. So they keep that story into place. They keep that energy out there. So one of the things we do with media is we try to expose things. What is probably one of the favorite stories you've ever covered?
So I had so many, but I have to say it was probably because it was such an important issue. Was Selena Fox? I think it was the 20th year or the 15th year. I don't remember what it was, but it was one of the anniversaries for the Pentacle Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was a very long interview. It was in St. Louis, and I want to say maybe 2017. Don't hold me to the exact year. There's been so many times that I interviewed Lady Selena, I just don't
Mm-hmm.
remember.
Yeah.
But hearing her story on how it started and what it led to and how it is now and how it is getting better, but there's still a lot more work, was very moving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my husband is a veteran. I have family that are veterans. And if they were pagan, I would want to know that we can worship them
Mm-hmm.
the way that they would want to be worshiped. Um, and it was a fantastic story. And you can see that story in Magic TV. Just
Oh,
type in
sure.
country.
You've got a great body of work out of Magic TV. That's continuing on. That's there forever, and we've
Right.
got a lot of body of work within the Peggy's Tonight Radio Network.
Yeah.
And now you're working with us in the fledgling
Yeah.
Pagan Worldview.
Yep. Love
That's
it.
yeah. So as a group we've continued to try to develop media and things of that nature, and your ability to do so. What would you recommend to people, traditions who say, "Oh, well, we shouldn't go for news stories," or pagan pride? Because pagan pride is like one of those events you should be doing that. What do you say that you should stay away from media?
You should never stay away from the media. If there's something that you're passionate about and it's happening within your community, record it, go for it, find out about it, interview it. If there's an author or an elder in your community, or not even in your community, a community you visit or go to, you should get their story. You definitely should find out what's happening with them. People need to know, they want to know. I don't think anybody should not have a media present, especially in other traditions, because that is how you get the word out and you let people know what's going on. Aside from memes and Facebook and all of that, it's something that it's necessary. It's a necessary tool for our survival.
There it goes. And we've used it to quite good effect. I mean, we've had all sorts of stories,
Yeah,
and we've
we
dealt
have.
with that. And before that is the idea of media. I think one of the biggest shifts between the 90s community and the 2023, in the 90s, we did everything we could to get media stories because that's the way you mass communicated.
Right.
Now, today, nobody tries for those stories, and they kind of do it through their Facebooks and their socials. I think we're one of the few traditions that actually has a full out media suite. Meaning we do
Yeah.
radio, we do newspaper magazines. We actually have two magazines in the tradition:
Mm-hmm.
the Correllian Herald, the Correllian Times.
Right.
We have daily broadcasts. We have everything else, and now we're making the next big move into what we hope is larger media, such as Pagan World, where we're on Roku now, but we're going to get on the other apps, and
Right.
even probably back to streaming services and even backwards into cable at some point.
Yeah.
So that is what it is. And I think I talk about it all the time. We're really in a telepathic universe now. What do I mean by that? It means we can communicate anytime, any place, anywhere with anyone we want to that
Right.
is connected to the internet. And I don't think we take advantage of that. And that's such a magical place to be.
Yes.
So out that. Uh, so let's go ahead and start wrapping this up. I mean, so if a group wants to do media, can they contact you?
Absolutely. Rev Lori CNT at gmail.com. It's Lori Lori. Um, I'm sure put it up there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody about media and anything else. I would just like to, before we wrap it up, back to Parliament for a second.
Sure.
If anybody is interested, there will be a pre-Parliament event this weekend coming up on Sunday the 5th from 5 to 7. And it's going to be with musicians putting on a show for 2 hours, um, as a pre-Parliament event. Um, it sounds like it's going to be amazing. I've been attending a lot of their events, so looking forward to it. And you can actually find the link on Parliament's website, parliamentofreligions.org,
Hmm.
and from there you could register to be part of the event. Yeah.
That's a great thing. Um, we also have you have a Facebook group, Correllians and Friends to the Parliament.
Correllians and Friends to the Parliament. So if you are interested in going, find that group. And
I think one thing. Let me go ahead and offer. If you do sign up and you do part of Parliament, either you sign up through us or you go through your own process and everything else, and join that group or other groups. We're going to have actually a lot of support on the ground.
Yes,
I mean, we're going to support each other on the ground. We have the
of
Paladins coming
course.
in.
Yes.
Uh, we're bringing our own representative, Rain Packery.
Yep.
She's going to be coming in from South Africa. And
Wonderful.
if anyone wants to contribute to our airfare, we're accepting that. How can people donate to this project?
So if you want to donate to the process, go to Correllian.com. On the homepage as the first thing that you'll see is Journey to the Parliament. And there are a few different ways to actually donate. You could donate monetarily, which is always greatly appreciated, but there are items that you can buy. Our newly appointed Chancellor, Stephanie Lee O'Neill, Most Reverend Stephanie Lee O'Neill, has purchased peace tote bags that
Mm-hmm.
are for sale, and 100% of the proceeds will go to the Parliament event fundraising. And she has also donated over 100 books, all of her books, a whole bunch of stuff. Another important thing is to watch for the Correllian auction coming, the spring auction.
You've been seeing the commercials for it, folks. April 21st, and
Yes.
we'll be kicking it off with Lord Michael Neal and
Mm-hmm.
others here on April 21st with a live
And
broadcast.
there's always amazing stuff at the auction. Can I show one
Well,
amazing piece I just got?
sure. We're mm-hmm.
30 something years old. This was Lady Stephanie's wand. It's an Abbey
Mm-hmm.
Willow root.
It's one of the
Now,
originals.
it's one of the originals, and it comes with the stand, the selenite. But I love it. So there are usually very amazing items posted.
So
And
this time, let me go ahead and state something this
yes,
time. This auction is very, very different. Lord Don continues to be in the hospital monitored.
right,
He continues to be in the hospital monitored. We're hoping that he's going to be released in the next day or two. No guarantees, no promises.
right,
But in this process, he's going to be downsizing because he's going to be returning back to Danville, back to the family lands. That's going to happen. But in the process, so we're going to be kind of reducing some of the things. I understand that some of his family's jewelry, his mother's jewelry, is going to be actually put on auction. At least 10 pieces of art are going to be of his hand printed art is going to be given to the tradition. I've got them to be sent. Um, all sorts of different types of items.
yeah,
And also through CNT, through the donation direct away, there's another book out there that I think people don't realize. It's called Your Voice. It's a very unique document. It's
yes,
really is a unique document in that it was from the original Parliament, from a project that never got continued called Parliament of the People. And this was kind of before the internet, before all this texting, before all this. This is how they communicated on the ground. They shared that story, and it's a very unique document. There's only one printing of it. I have the majority of that printing. It's going to be a great auction. It's going to have a lot of great stuff. People are going to give some really nice
yeah,
stuff. I think it's going to be the best auction yet. I'm hoping to raise. I hope they raise thousands of dollars, not just
right,
we raise decent money, but I think this is a chance for like literally that we have like 10 pictures of Don's handwritten stuff. But
yep,
your voice number 1 through 12 was put up by a company that's no longer in existence, Etchiton Books. So if you're looking for something unique to add to your library that talks about the Parliament from 1993, from the first Parliament of the
yep,
modern age, the second one ever held, that's also available to be done and to pick up reasonably priced.
yeah,
And so that's kind of a neat piece. I mean, that's a really historical document if you're a parliamentarian.
yeah,
We'll talk more about that. But the auction is going to have a number of items. And I think there's still time to donate to the auction.
yes,
So contact Lori, and she can take you through the process to get if you want to give something out there. And there's going to be a lot of neat and little
yeah.
beautiful
If
things.
and anything that you feel is in decent condition, good condition, new books that are softly used, anything can go into the auction, and I will make sure you get the information to be able to send everything to Lord Michael Neal.
Yeah. And you have until March 12th, and you'll get acknowledged
Yeah.
for that. Yeah, I think he's closing that out March 12th, so he has time to process this by the
Yes.
21st. And we want it to be one of the biggest auctions in art history.
Right.
We desperately need it to be big because we have such a commitment to the parliament we want to fulfill.
Right. And an auction doesn't help without great donations. Without that donation, there's nothing to put up for auction.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
And
we need them.
start saving your pennies.
Yes, every
Okay.
penny counts. So,
Hmm.
every dollar counts, even for a donation. You know, if you can only donate a couple of dollars, don't think it's too small. Every dollar counts.
So we're going to conclude this. We're going to conclude with a statement. Why is it important that we send everybody to the parliament? Why is it this time, especially call to conscience, defending freedom and human rights? Why should they donate, even if they're not attending? Why should they be going to
Because
the
they're
auction?
pagan and Wiccan, and we need to have a presence there. We need that stage. We need to be on that main stage eventually with the big name religions. That is the only way
Hmm.
to change anything within our community or change a law. Maybe we can change a law in Africa that just because you're being accused of being a witch, that they're taking your land away or killing you, even. Um, it's very important to have that representation there and to show in large numbers.
Hmm.
And I've seen it grow. I've seen the difference from 2015 to 2018. And believe it or not, online in 2021, the pagan room, the holding room where everybody was chatting, was the largest room of all the separate chat rooms that were going on. So that was thrilling in itself.
So I'm going to answer this question. Rhonda says, "Are you talking about books? Not at the moment, but donating them. Do you know how to find out if a book is worth money? Do you know?" Absolutely. People don't remember that the entire system, the witch school system, was started on my. I'm actually a well-known
Yeah.
book collector, antiquarian. I know books. Actually, I've got a book right behind me that I'm putting up for sale. I'm going to be selling to make some of Lord Don's medical expenses and cover some of his living expenses. I'm going to put a part of my personal collection starting tomorrow up for sale.
Ah,
Uh, yeah, I'm going to be putting up Witch by Lady Shiva, a first edition, first printing. It's going to go
nice.
for. I'm trying to figure out what the price is exactly. So yeah, we do know what the price of the books are. I've got a Buckland book I'm going to be putting out. I've got some old paperbacks I'm going to be putting up. Very young old stuff, things that actually have real value, not
Right.
just modern stuff. All the modern stuff is, but we're talking about the antiquarian stuff. I'll be actually doing that starting tomorrow,
Awesome.
for the sole purpose of raising some money. And they're not going to go cheap. I'm not going to sell them cheap. But yeah, do we know things about books? Plus, starting tomorrow, I'll start my interviews with authors from all over the country. I've got authors backing up. So Pagan World is going to talk about more about pagan books. If you really want to know, my email is edthepagan. Um, at Ed the Pagan at almost anywhere. I'm famous. It is true, actually.
I know.
But edthepagan at gmail.com is probably the most referenced. If you really want to know more about books and more about it, I'll tell you, send me a picture of it. Send me a picture of it, of the book. Send me the inside cover, a picture of it, and, so you can describe it. And I can give you a little idea of its value potentially, because I do think books are going to go up in value. I'm kind of being heart wrenched about selling some of these books off right now because I think in 5 years they're going to be worth 2 to 3 times what they're worth now
Right.
as a community. But sort of value, baby. That's what we have. So we're going to start to do that. So yeah, Rhonda, we can talk. We're going to talk more books. We're actually going to have some book shows here on Pagan World. Watch for them. They're
Yeah.
coming. They're coming down the pipe pretty quick. One last thing. Um, we can find out something. Um, it depends on the books. There's all sorts of factors with books. So just at thepagan at gmail.com. Send me some more information. I'll see if I can find a basic reference. Um, if it's really valuable, I'll tell you to go to some of these specialized antiquarians because I'm a good round baller, but some books have got extreme value.
Yeah.
You could probably, most people don't realize, in your library you probably have a book that's worth over $100. If you have a
Yeah.
library of 2,000 books, There's probably
Yeah.
something worth 1,000.
It's funny that you say that because we were in a used bookstore, and it amazes me how they price their books because they don't really know what the occult books and stuff are worth. So there was
Mm-hmm.
um, a Leland book.
Mm-hmm.
There was a new edition, but there was this little tiny yellow page, and I'm like, oh my god, that's it. That's gonna be one of like the older ones. And I
Mm-hmm.
picked them up, and the old one was 50 cents, and
Sure.
the nowhere reprint was like $15. Of course, I
Was
had to
it?
buy both of them,
Mm-hmm.
but the value is in that original little one because it's not exactly the same wording.
So if we're going to talk about this in pagan books, so one of the people in the earliest day, I used to buy used books by the truckload.
Yeah.
You ever see those boxes? If you ever see a green box or a blue box says clothes, shoes, whatever, they get a
Hmm.
lot of books in,
Right.
and they end up throwing them to the side because they don't care because they're into clothes and the shoes and taking care of that. You can go to them. I used to pay $300 a U-Haul truck full of used books.
Yeah.
And we would take them in, we'd sort them, and that was one of the ways earlier days we financed Witchcool. So Witchcool is witchcool.com.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, yeah. So yeah, if you're ever looking at that,
Right.
Jeffrey said Goodwill is similar. $3 for a signed cop drawing down the moon. It's craziness. Of course it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
We're not going to get too much further. My very first
Right.
find I ever had. I was 15 years old, and I saw a book signed by Samuel Clemens, and they look. Yeah, I bought it for $2. I ended up. Oh yeah, absolutely. I bought it $2 from a garage sale, and the guy didn't even realize the person who had it didn't realize Mark Twain and Samuel Clemens was the same person, but it
Right.
wasn't signed Mark Twain.
Right.
It said Twain the Mark, Samuel Clemens. So he must have done that. Yeah, so none. I took it down to my big local friendly bookstore. He says, I think I've got to sign Samuel Clemens, and he goes, oh, you don't? I said, yeah, check it out. And it took me about a couple of days, and he came back and he said, how much do you want? And I said, and he gave me $200. So it was my first big score as a book owner. And from then on, I've been on there. I've
You
had,
made nice profit, $198, and that was
oh,
back then.
yeah. And oh, yeah, I felt so rich as a kid.
Yep.
But I started buying and selling books. I've had Darwin's book, Evolution book. I've had that in my hand. I've had,
Oh wow.
yeah, I've had Darwin books. I've had a lot of early scientific books. Books are valuable,
Yes.
but not all of them. You have
Right.
to know what you want. And just because it's old doesn't make it valuable.
That's correct. Yep.
Hmm.
A lot of book talk.
Yeah. But we're going to do more about book talks because that's the fun thing. We've talked about the parliament. We've talked about media. We've talked about it all. I think we've had a really great discussion.
We did. It
Uh,
went so quick.
yeah. Yeah. And so out there, so continue watching. We're going to do more book talk soon. We're going to have actually shows. I actually have my first interview for the new series. And
Yay.
tomorrow night, we're going to talk about, on this show, the witch hunts. I'm hoping I find somebody who can talk to us about the witch hunts. Um, Terrific. Check out our Witch Starter. There's a lot of fun in there. Please do. The witchstarter.com page, which is our Kickstarter campaign for Pagan World TV, just kind of raise money to kind of be here. If you really want to have some of the value of us, please support
Yes.
us. Um, so, folks, so remember, this is Daily Spell. And Lori, I give you the last word.
I'm out of words.
Uh,
Don't be
you know,
afraid of the media. Get out there, do
mm,
your thing. Parliament is amazing. If you haven't been and you wanna, this is the year to go. It's in Chicago. It's not that far from either direction. Um, Use the code if you can't go and you want to help us, make a donation. Is that too many words?
no, not at all. I think very good.
Correllian.com for all of that information. And until
Hmm.
next time, blessed be.
And we're going to have her back soon as her other role, Assistant Dean of
Yep.
Assistant Dean. We're going to sit down and talk to her about that soon. So
Awesome.
she'll be back here soon. And if you want to be a guest on the Daily Spell, contact us. Blessed be.
Blessed be.